My name's Leanne Rogers, for those that don't know me, and I'm from the Lake House in Denmark. Hopefully everyone here has visited the Lake House. For those that haven't, we are a wine producer, a restaurant, and also a food producer. And I've just been invited to give a bit of my story of where we've come and how we got there. So to give you a bit of a background, we moved from Perth to Denmark in 2005, my partner and I, looking for a bit of a tree change, weren't looking to have a wine brand, to have a restaurant, to have a food business. I was a finance broker. I could work wherever I wanted to work from, so we decided to move to Denmark. Bought a property, 100 acres, which we loved, had everything we wanted, including a vineyard, which we weren't asking for or didn't know what to do with. So we thought, how hard can this be? So we started and we got some advice. And the good thing about down in the country is everyone is full of information and is happy to help you. So we got lots of good advice from viticulturists and winemakers, and they helped us to get some fruit. So within 12 months we had some fruit and we'd bottled our first lot of wine, and then we thought, well, how are we going to sell our wine? Luckily our property had a cellar door in a restaurant that hadn't been used, so we were able to open that up, and I thought that I could just open that up, work that myself, play in the garden most of the day and run in and do some wine tastings as the visitors came in. I don't think I've done any gardening in the first 6 years because it was pretty full on from day one, and it wasn't anything like we thought. Being a bit off the beaten track then, wasn't too many people that came down our road, so we thought, well, how are we going to sell our wine? Best thing, people like food, so we need to have a food offering. I didn't have a food background or hospitality, but I liked making things, so I thought, well, I can cut up ham, I can cut up cheese, but we need something a little bit more exciting than that, so I made some chutneys. So we started making some chutneys and people started saying, love them, where can we buy them? So then I started to think, well, I can bottle them. So then you bottle them, you need a label, how do you do a label, all those sorts of things. You need nutritional information on there. There's a whole lot of things that I had no idea. Internet gives you lots of good resources, so thank goodness for that. But also, I did get a bit of help from some people, especially Vicky Brown at the Small Business Centre. She was able to put me in contact with some other people that had already done a few things, and I rang those people up and they gave me lots of information on different ways to label things, where to go, what printers to go to, and all those sorts of things. That was the start of our Vino Food label, and also the Wine Spa products, which the Vino Food is chutneys and relishes and condiments that have got wine in them. Our Wine Spa products are body care products that have got grapeseed oil or grapeseed extract. So we tried to keep everything around our wine theme. I think what I've learned, it's really important to have a story around what you do. So rather than just creating something random, it was like we were a winery that made food and that we might make some body care products. We've kind of put more effort into the Vino Food range because having the restaurant, it was a natural thing, and people were coming and were trying the food on the platters and then buying it to take it home. So I've had the benefit of being, we're kind of in a couple of different sectors. We're in tourism, we're in food and we're in wine, and benefiting from each of those different industries. So over the year, we've been in business since 2006. Growing Vino Foods has done a few different things. Obviously, a lot of people coming in and saying, especially tourists, where can we buy your products? So then that led into getting into wholesaling. In the beginning, I did most of that myself, but then it became too difficult to do, so you can't do everything. So to expand the brand, I had to bring someone else in to help me cook, because you can't cook, sell it, raise a family and all that sort of thing. So at one stage I had to expand. So I've got 2 ladies now full-time that come in and make all the products. I have a distributor up in Perth, and then we're looking to get into the East Coast. I also did Woolworths. We did have a little bit of a foray into Woolworths. They were doing a local regional section in the 3 Woolworths down here and 3 up in Perth. So we did do that. It was a good opportunity, and it was. We are no longer in Woolworths, but mainly because we had to decide whether we were going to be a supermarket brand or whether we were going to be a gourmet store brand. And I think at the price point that we sell at, that we need to be, it's more of a premium product, especially with the jam, when you're competing with a $3 jam that's mass-produced to one that's handcrafted. We couldn't sit in that supermarket shelf. So we pulled out of Woolworths and now concentrating on, your IGAs, which is still technically a supermarket, but they're owner-operated, so they're not a big chain store. They're really good. I found getting a distributor in Perth, we've had that for 12 months now, and that's been fantastic. But I had a whole lot of wholesale accounts to begin with, so that made it easier to get a distributor. 5 years ago, when I tried to get a distributor, it was a bit of a hard slug because I didn't have accounts already buying my products. So if that was a bit of advice for anyone, it's like try and build up a bit of wholesale trade first if you're looking to get a distributor. We also just recently went to Sydney and did a trade show. I have done a number of trade shows over the years, mostly consumer shows, which have been really good because you're getting people to try your product. They're giving you feedback of what they like and what they don't like, and then you can kind of adapt your product depending on the feedback that you get. I did do a trade show in Sydney in April, which was a buyer trade show. And the biggest thing that I got from there is that here it's such a small market, the East Coast is a huge market, and people don't know where Denmark is. Most people thought I came from Copenhagen. So it was like I spent most of the 2 days educating people actually where Denmark was. As soon as I said Albany, they did know Albany, which was a good thing. I think we've made a lot of inroads over the last few years that people are getting to know the Great Southern and Denmark, but it's still, we've still got a long way to go. That's where our story is really important. That's what came across to me when I went to Sydney. You've got to get your story across because there's lots of other food producers over there. My realm was chutneys and things like that. There's lots of people making chutneys and jams and things like that. But what's your point of difference? In the last 12 months, we've rebranded. That's made a big difference. I think it's really important to have professional-looking labels, to have a strong branding. It makes you stand out in the shelves with all the other products. Trade shows, anything that's going. I'm a member of many associations and groups. If there's anything on offer, I usually take it up. In the last 12 months, I've done a business course through the Australian Centre for Business Growth. I was flown to Sydney as part of the regional online heroes. That was through Google, so I went to go to Google for the day. 2 days flown over to Sydney with 10 other finalists from around Australia, which was a great experience. I'm doing an online Asian market success program. What else have I done? And over the years, I've got a few different grants and things like that to help with labelling and marketing and things like that. So I have got quite a bit of support. But you've got to go out and ask for it, or you've got to go, it just doesn't get handed to you. You've got to go out and get all the newsletters, and if there's any offerings, sign up for them. Some you get, some you don't, but if you don't ask for them, then you definitely don't get them. As far as going forward, trying to expand East Coast and export. We've dabbled a little bit in export with our wines and with the vino food. So we're looking to expand that, mainly Singapore, China and Japan. We've kind of done a bit of research, and they're the 3 markets that we want to attempt to get into. And also, with expanding sales, you need to expand your production facilities. So that's what we're also looking at doing, which obviously takes a bit of capital input and things like that. So it's not, we've been in business now for long enough that we know where we're headed, so we're prepared to put that capital in to grow the business. So hopefully a bit of success in the East Coast and export, and continued success in WA. So that's all. Thank you.